What would be the minimum number of soldiers necessary to conquer Earth? About 350. 350. What constitutes conquered anyway? To take over the existing government? To have control over every square meter of land? Achieving capitulation of every government on Earth and being able to collect taxes and maintain governments in every region. Insurgents can't exist so long as they aren't holding territory. Sounds like more of a shock and awe territory than number of soldiers territory. Microwave life off from one of the continents from the space, and then send a threat to the rest of the world saying unless they capitulate and pay the tithe, they'll suffer the same fate. 350 Space Marines? Absolutely. Half that if it's an actually smart chapter like the Raptors, Raven Guard, or Ultramarines. You need like 400 Space Marines just to fail to conquer a planet of like 12 million people. The Earth has 7 billion people. They're gonna need a lot more people than that. 400 Space Marines to conquer a planet of insert number here. Source me then. Decapitation strikes on leaders and strategic capabilities makes conquering easy as fuck. Especially if you have a fucking spaceship that's bigger than Manhattan. Taros campaign. Taros had actual anti-orbital capabilities worth shit. We don't. Wouldn't you like to know, green-skinned boy? 40k picture. Time waiting question. I know what you are scheming at, Farseer. Collapsing Earth's logistics and economics is just a matter of leveling around 100 locations. Easy. Honestly, just the largest 100 cities in America and China. All the big Chinese dams, obviously, would totally fuck the global economy and lead to famines that would kill 1 billion, if not more. Then there's no fuel in the ships and jets, no power for internet systems, and you're free to do what you want. You won't have established any kind of order, but there won't be any kind of coherent modern resistance in a year. If you can surprise, teleport, or drop your soldiers in literally wherever you want, with modern armaments, it theoretically wouldn't take more than 100,000 men to bring the world economy crashing down permanently. 1 million men is more realistic, though. Destroying cities with massively dense population and no food production will cause mass famines. It would create a short-term logistical mess and long-term economic mess, but it's unlikely to cause starvation in the billions. Now, if you went for infrastructure, power plants, fuel refineries and depots, ports and airports, you'll be creating some problems. Further destabilize law and order by annihilating key parts of government, media and law enforcement, and those cities all become starving liabilities filled with warlords who will attack anyone and everyone else for food. The Imperium does not extinguish humans unless absolutely necessary. They see them as future cannon fodder and cogs for the galactic conquest. They would send someone like Sanguinius, Horus, or Girly Man to convince/force Earth to surrender and join the Imperium. All the armies on the planet will say fuck off and get wrecked eventually. Terms will be offered again, and if Earth refuses again and still fights to the end, only then will they glass the planet. The Imperium often fights recalcitrant worlds. The Guard typically deals with this just fine. How large the army that needs to be committed depends on the population. Most worlds are far less densely populated than Earth, so a couple regiments can often deal with them. For Earth, they'd need a proper invasion force, hundreds of thousands or millions strong, and extensive orbital bombardment. They wouldn't try to hold the planet directly. Instead, they pick some country that played ball, e.g. Brazil, and give them license to move in and subjugate the rest. Just one sufficiently large soldier would suffice. Nobody wants to be on the losing side of the firepower and tech difference between a galactic empire and Earth. You and I both know that Lil' Kim would most definitely fuck around. What would a Space Marine do if hit by an anti-tank weapon? Die. Probably just get hurt, unless it's something like a tank shell. Shoot down all the satellites. Communication and surveillance systems instantly fall apart. Chaos ensues. The next target is power plants. Chaos ensues. That's the last thing they want in on. To the asshole on floor 566. Stop fucking shooting out the interior window. I don't care if you're shooting straight up. That shit comes back down eventually, and I'm tired of finding lead in my laundry. Don't make me come down there again. That's it, dickhead. You put a hole through my boxers. You're gonna fucking die. Good news, Anons. I have figured out how to repair and operate the retractable roof over the central interior shaft. If we all pile our respective stashes of CS gas together, we should now be able to make the greatest hotbox of all time. From fucker of Slovenian women. Notice, I think I dropped my grenade. If you live on a floor between 340 and 360, you might want to take cover from the shrapnel. I didn't move up to room 148 to still hear screaming in the room next to me. Quiet down. Will whoever is pissing out of their window stop? Gravity and horizontal velocity brings your piss to my window. T. Should have realized what ground floor means in a deep hole context. No, I won't. Also, can someone stop by the merchant shop and grab me a pack of cigarettes? Any brand except menthols, thanks. The silicon creatures are in the walls again. Some jackass with a GBE just indeed a hole through my wall, and my neighbor's wall, and my neighbor's neighbor's wall, and the next few thousand down the corridor. I fucking hate this place. I've been living here for years and I've still never met anyone who knows the Wi-Fi password. What the fuck? You get Wi-Fi? I had to duel my hall neighbor for dibs on the only cable. God, I love shitting over the rail. It's by far the best way to put the underdwellers in their place. You need to cut down on the fiber. I've noticed blood splatters. Is there any credibility to the rumors that the ground at the center of the building is actually a missile silo? There's ground? It's a trash heap. There ought to be something down there. It's a missile covered in 23 tons of trash. My grandpa told me it goes to the center of the earth and then up the other side. If you jump, you just bounce back and forth. But he was on that slow-mo. I don't think he ever went lower than 78th floor. My roommate tied all our bedding together as a parachute and jumped. Anyone seen him around floor 50? He promised to call. Also, anyone know where to get more bedding? Oh, so that's who went crunch on my balcony. Do you care if the sheets are red and yellow now? Floor 520 resident here. Been hearing scratching sounds from the floor. Might be from 519. Pipe down, please. I'm trying to sleep. Also, whoever lives down there, take a fucking shower. You smell like a wet dog and mildew. And I'm tired of that shit wafting through my windows. Does anyone on floor 432 feel like the floor keeps changing? Every time I leave my room, it's like the hallways keep changing directions. Just yesterday, it felt almost an hour long. But I was fucked up that day. I was with a dude on 372 getting drunk and he thought I was insane. I also told him that I occasionally hear growling noises and he told me to fuck off at that point. Anyways, on the way back I found a bunch of VOG 25 nades on floor 412, so I should be good. Whoever keeps fucking with my shortwave antennas on the roof, bring bomb disposal next time. One wrong touch and you'll get an eagle-eye view of the area. I went down to floor 58 on a dare. I live on 333 for reference. Did you know that it's freezing cold down there? There's hoarfrost on the walls from the breath of the deep denizens. It's deadly silent too. I could hear my heartbeat in the back of my head as I got closer. Clutching my 1022 close, the only thing I heard after floor 96 was a leaky pipe. I had to sing show tunes to myself to keep away the madness. Dark as well. I brought a lantern or I wouldn't have been able to make it past 80 or so. I couldn't muster the courage to go beyond 58. There was a maggot-encrusted corpse on the floor. Another fresher corpse had its teeth buried in its chest. I screamed and ran all the way back up to 75 before I could find an elevator that worked. I could hear something behind me, so I shot off a 10-round mag in the dark. I heard shuffling away from me after the last round was gone, followed by the drip of blood. I'm all sore now from running. It feels worse than when I fell 5 floors down after I drank too much near the window. I told my friend that dared me to go. P.S. Whoever's 8 or so floors above me, stop fucking trying to hit those geese flying south. You're not gonna fucking get one. The whole area between 50 and B50 are a dead zone. I feel bad for the people that got stuck below ground. We do our best to keep the air exchange working, but eventually something is going to go wrong somewhere that maintenance won't be able to reach. Hopefully they figure something out down there before it's too late. T. Facilities mechanic. We no longer require air. Any of y'all find that elevator that takes you all the way down to floor negative 135? I found it while cruising around floor 347 and took it out of boredom. Crazy stuff down there. Found a box filled with Lugers that I wanted to take back up with me but got chased out by this Balrog looking thing. Whip and all. Fun fact, 7.62 by 54R is not adequate to stop a Balrog. The elevators that go below ground were all supposed to have been filled in, but there are a few that keep moving around. If you go back where you found it, I guarantee you it's going to be a 10-floor dumbwaiter or paternoster instead. What's the most realistic shit hits the fan scenario? Depends on where you live. Might be a hurricane, earthquake, industrial accident, flood, urban chimp out, drought-induced starvation, systemic ag-greed collapse. More than likely another contagion like COVID, but way more deadly and easily spread due to how people are now vaccine hesitant and skeptical of efforts to stop disease spread. And now that America has gone full anti-science and is losing brilliant minds to Euro biotech companies, it seems we're one bad flu away from shit hitting the fan. My second best guess is the slight bit of civil unrest. Might go on for a year or two, but eventually people will get sick of seeing Americans kill other Americans, over which pedo New York sewer system inspector approved candidate can usher in the next iteration police state. Things keep getting gradually shittier and scared people keep voting for more extreme solutions, which don't work because the politicians are ultimately self-serving. The police can't be trusted, the media wants you to believe your neighbor can't be trusted, the courts are packed with whomever is in charge at the moment, and free speech is dead. The economy is supposedly growing, but the majority of the population seem to be working more, earning less, and getting less and less healthy. Fertile plains are turning into deserts, rivers are drying, and fresh water keeps being contaminated by salt water. Your travel is restricted, more and more crazies seem to appear, but you can't be sure if they are real or if every piece of news is now complete fiction to manipulate your opinion. Children aren't being born, no one gets to retire, old people live in perpetual misery. The shit never hits the fan because it has been liquefied and is being gently misted until you one day wake up and realize your skin is covered in a dried crust of shit. Camp of the Saints. Maybe the vast infrastructure needed to keep this world running, breaking down by incompetence being mandated by the civil rights laws. Societal collapse due to a variety of factors. To simplify, I'll just refer to it as collapse. Societies and civilizations collapse. It is the natural order of things. Collapse follows a general pattern and can easily be prepared for. Government begins losing control of territory and populace within. Law and order breakdown results in rioting, looting, mass murder, destruction of services like firefighting, emergency medical care, water treatment, etc. Starvation, disease, and violence lead to large death tolls in urban areas. This is a process called die-off, in which a majority of the population rapidly shrinks. This process can go on for years, but the bulk of the dying occurs in just a few months. This will happen a few weeks into the final stage of collapse. The nice thing is that it's very easy to prepare for. Get out of cities and major urban areas. Avoid nuclear reactors in areas close to nuclear reactors. During collapse, reactors will not be maintained. Some of them will melt down and badly damage the surrounding environment. Prioritize areas away from nuclear reactors in cities. Look for areas with large freshwater supplies. That's the hardest thing to get. Stockpile food, clean water, medical supplies, various other items that will be impossible to get unless society rebuilds. Do what you can to preserve knowledge for future generations. Avoid violence where possible. If you must be violent, be as efficient as you possibly can. Use every possible advantage. Most importantly, enjoy the good times while they last. None of us will have K, bros. SHTF is a narrative that is largely amplified by hostile Russian operatives seeking to destabilize democracies from within. This kind of topic is a relic from a time when Russian influence was not adequately countered on gun boards, so demoralized individuals could fantasize about the end of Western society without any pushback. War in Taiwan leads to a sudden end to advanced technologies due to supply chain disruption. The economic crash this generates is far worse than the Great Depression due to the sheer amount of debt that there is today. That and the cost of war, which the country, win or lose, won't be able to cope with, leading to the real hyperinflation. This time for real. Not the 10% hyperinflation of 2020 Ameritards talk about. Domestically, this leads to civil war, SHTF. Internationally, in addition to the SHTF of World War III, you would see the US stop all aid to Africa due to financial reasons. Africa imports an overwhelming amount of its food, So this means millions of Africans will rush Europe. Aside from being SHTF in itself, it will also trigger civil war there. The prolonged destruction of Asia, Europe, and the US will mean an actual dark age for the world, as these are the only places that create, and are able to create, high technology and complex societal systems. Nothing. COVID and the Floyd riots and inflation and Jan 6 all passed with no big boog event. It's all wet farts. The worst you see is more random acts of violence from desperate people if the economy continues to get worse and more people feel they've nothing to lose. What's the most realistic SHTF scenario? Unemployment, tax audit, cancer, divorce, death of child, death of spouse, traffic accident, accidental fall, arthritis, Parkinson's, COPD, tinnitus, leaking roof, car theft, burglary while you're out, house fire, electrical shock, heart attack, roof leak or minor flood, fuel or electricity price spike, recession / crypto cash / gold crash / stock crash, cloud computing collapse, accidental third-degree burn, eyesight damage, dominant hand loss, diabetes, sexually transmitted diseases up to HIV, crime / homeless / drug spike in local area. What's the most realistic SHTF scenario? Natural disaster, hurricane, flood, etc. Destroys key infrastructure so everyone fleeing clogs the highways, and everyone not fleeing turns into a looter, bandit, poacher, etc. Despite being the most common type of SHTF scenario, it can't be romanticized. So people who prep for these rarely talk about them. Massive solar flare wipes the electrical grid. Grids are now hardened against Carrington-scale events and have been for a long time in the first world. Most modern electronics are also extremely robust, including basic consumer stuff. It would be a non-event with some GPS disturbance and minor bullshit in third world countries. Grids are now hardened against Carrington-scale events. Yes, they are. Following the 2003 solar storm causing a blackout in Malmö, Sweden, due to geomagnetically induced currents, EU-wide standards and the IEEE in all the first world nations introduced hardening and mitigation that means grids will survive even a Carrington-scale event. You'd think for someone obsessed with dooming on this bullshit, you might actually try and know something about it, but you don't. Neither do EMPs stop cars from staring or fry induction coils. If you educate yourself on bullshit from internet doomers, then you are a tard. It's a much bigger problem in Sweden because of the nation's location. Quebec spent $1 billion hardening transformers as just one example that's pretty much mirrored throughout the Western nations, places like the USA, EU, Canada, UK, etc., etc. Much of this was driven by insurers' demands. For example, this Lloyd's report from 2013 in its conclusion, the electric grid can be hardened against the flow of geomagnetically induced currents in regions with the highest risk of outage. Current blocking capacitors and GIC monitors can be installed to protect transformers and regulate the power flow. While these measures represent additional costs to grid companies, the cost of prevention is much smaller than the price of damage a single storm can create. You are quite simply wrong. This has been ongoing work, often interfaced with regular maintenance tasks for 20 years. Simply put, you're wrong, and another mentally ill doomer moron suffering from a rationalization of their anxiety problem who knows fuck all on the internet. Japan deploys troops to battle bear attacks after 12 people killed. Kuma Bear by Kuma Kuma. How do we defeat the Nippon Bear Menace? 100 attacks and 12 deaths in 6 months in northern Japan? How do we defeat the Nippon Bear Menace? Second Amendment Japan Edition and a meat wave of thousands of Nippon Fuds with Moroku shotguns and Howa rifles. Bears are really not dangerous at all. I can beat them with my bare hands easy. Yes, I am an American. I thought Hokkaido fags were well armed, even with Japan's strict weapons laws. We may need to send in Hank. As everybody knows, the only thing that can stop a bad bear is a good bear. Japanese gun laws are extremely cucked. I cannot overstate this. There are very few hunters, and most of them are geriatric. There's a set number of civilian gun licenses in Nipponistan. They only issue new licenses to youngsters if some old gun owner dies and reopens the spot in the license registry. So youngsters who want to own guns are generally under the impression that it's impossible due to increasingly strict requirements. So they don't even try. The numbers just keep going down. How's the bear spray working out? Bet you there's plenty of okay bear killing shit in there. Is it possible for experienced hunters to volunteer? I mean, seriously, I've stalked and killed a bear before with a heart shot. I still have its skull. All they've got to do is give me a room and board for a bit and let me bring my R700. I've hunted in relatively suburban areas half my life, New Jersey. I know how to avoid popping houses and other people while still getting a deer on the reg. Inform the local population that they've imported an invasive creature to mitigate the problem, and that there's going to be a goofy 6-foot-tall foreigner wandering around with a rifle. And I'll safely hunt bears in Japan every day, easy peasy. Just don't go into man-eating bear-infested woods. The bear fears the samurai. They need to bring in the Chinese rural hog mercenaries. Japan's bear population is growing, with one recent estimate putting the number of the black bears at 44,000, compared with 15,000 estimated in 2012. Rekindle hunting culture in rural Japan, which is what controlled the bear population in the first place. Maybe fund a bunch of new anime and manga about how cool hunting is. Or you could prop up skeet shooting as the hot new sport for young folks. Or perhaps you could loosen regulations around firearms ever so fucking slightly so there isn't 10 billion hoops to jump through just to own a single 3+1 shotgun in Japan. Japanese women need to find Japanese bear hunters hot. Then the rest will solve itself. Now, if only there was a way to make that happen. Wasn't there literally a big-ticket hunting manga or an anime that came out recently? No idea, but I do remember one recently about a novice hunter getting isekai'd and immediately marrying a big-titty elf. As is with all pests, the answer is poison. Simply poison some bait and let the bears eat it. Poison is always the best solution for pest control, but animal rights fags are always against it. Gentle reminder, DDT almost eradicated malaria until it got banned. It did also almost eradicate some cool birds. Bringing riot shields to use against bears. What? I never thought to consider plexiglass riot shields for bear defense. The right to bear arms. How do we defeat the Nippon bear menace? 30-06 and high trust society. It's literally that simple. How do you get killed by a bear, lol? Every bear I've met in the woods has taken off running like a little bitch when they meet me. T. Sweden. Easy. Get Taiga Saijima on the case. He'll track it down and punch it out. Loosen gun restrictions for rural areas. Alternatively, let people carry their swords in the woods. Threat about Japan. Shang Shield spanning his links again. That's a lot of attacks. Why are they only responding now? Japanese bureaucracy is insane. They had a passenger plane go down years ago, and the responding agencies got into an argument over who would save the people first. It took them like 3 days to do it. And it was only after a Marine Corps helicopter flew by to survey the damage. Check if the deer population is low or something. Can Japanese people own guns? Yes. Why don't they just shoot the bears? Bureaucracy. Why don't they just shoot the bureaucracy so they can shoot the bears? Just loosen up the gun laws. Bears stay away from humans because sometimes humans shoot bears. Hunting is practically illegal in Japan, so bears have no reason to fear humans. Have a collection of foreign gun YouTubers. One guy is just some hunter, game warden, in some Japanese mountains. Every other upload is him shooting a boar with an over-under shotgun. Nothing else. I would comment sometimes that he should do some barbecue vids, but probably one of those fuck gaijin words type of elder nip. This was in the tins. Why not make some safari hunting shit? Africa shit tier colonies have hunting for rich whites. Make it expensive and touristy. Get a bunch of rich people from the city and foreign cash. Guns, time for the spray. This is Galactica Actual. Give me a sitrep, K. This is Pegasus Actual. Passive aiming is a meme, and documented incidents of self-defense with night vision gear do not exist. Over. What the fuck? Who added a roasty fucking femoid to the server? I'm banning both of you. Over. This is engineering. Everything is on fucking fire. USSF Alan Shepard reporting. Currently lasing some gunboats. What is your status, Galactica? Over. Unidentified vessel. This is Captain Teresa Yao of the MCR in Doniger. This is your final warning. If you maintain your present course, you will be fired upon. Galactica Actual. This is Chimera Actual. Still waiting on our turn to get treated like a functional military unit. Any day now. I've only seen one episode of Battlestar Galactica. CX-4s are cool. Gaius is a fag and hashtag not my president. I want to fuck the Asian robot girl. Simple as. Create female robot. No tits. Immersion ruined. If you're interested in the BSG video game, check out Battlestar Galactica Deadlock. It's a fleet combat game. It's being delisted in 2 days, one by the time this video's out, due to the license expiring. This is Flight Crew reporting. I may or may not have gotten a Cylone Robo pregnant. What's the standard operating procedure to deal with that? You have one outstanding message from Flight Chief Delegan. Playing message. Nigga, what? How? Every motherfucker in this show is a goddamn Cylon, so I stopped watching midway through season 3. Losing pressure, tumbling, reactor unstable. There's a reason you separate military and the police. One fights the enemies of the state, the other serves and protects the people. What did Adama mean by this? USS Lexington acknowledging. We are dealing with an issue in our main waste recyclers. Current status is brown alert. What do we think of the Venezuelan submachine gun known as the Cavum Caribe? It is a hammer-fired bullpup submachine gun chambered in 9x19. It is select-fire and has a rate of fire of around 1200 RPM. I mean, visually I don't hate most of it despite being a bullpup. The controls look undersized, and the weird whole hand trigger guard is I don't know. IWI LARP is a thing? Steyr was doing this decades prior. If we got parts kits, that would be neat. Not gonna lie, I'd buy the commie bullpup gun. It's like if a P90 and a TMP had a baby. It looks like a very basic direct blowback weapon with a cheap, uncomfortable, but manageable chassis. Neither garbage nor particularly noteworthy. Correct, I want it. It seems very cheaply made, which is fine for an SMG but calls its reliability into question. If it is truly a simple blowback weapon, then it's probably plenty reliable, but there's no point to take it over an SBR. No frills, but it's clean and looks pretty solid with decent ergonomics. Could be lighter with more refined manufacturing, but a bit of chunk isn't always a bad thing in an SMG for recoil management. As an SMG, assuming it works reliably, it looks about as good as a basic MP5. Nah, the biggest reason that MP5 is inarguably the pinnacle of SMG design is that it is not a shit-ass simple blowback. Recoil impulse and weight of a 9mm direct blowback SMG are not at all different from, or in many cases, literally worse than an SBR. That by itself doesn't mean it's bad. But if you want to make a fine SMG, then gas-operated or some kind of delayed blowback is the way to do it. We have P90 at home. Bullpups need the hand trigger guard as they obviously don't have the magazine in front to help protect the hand. It serves a functional purpose. Wonder why you don't see more bullpup 9mm designs like this. Seems like it makes sense as you don't need to have a fuck huge length of pull like most 5.56 bullpups. It's neat, definitely a gun you'd find in some shitty Asian free-to-play FPS like Combat Arms or something. Cavum has been around for a while. Their ammo is turned up here and there and is usually a reasonable quality. Barring a bunch of 7.62 NATO with a bunch of asphaltic sealant imported recently, I expect this thing is at a minimum functional. Double stack single feed? It's shit. Base digits observed in triplicate. Cavum. That's their version of Norinco. Back in the day, Cavum's 7.62 NATO ball was dirt cheap in 200 round battle packs. Could be found readily at $150 for 1,000. Looks cool. I would buy it just for recreational shooting. Too bad I can't find that much info on it. These are probably going to end up in the hands of narcos in Mexico. A gigantic amount of the firearms used by the cartels in Mexico are Cavum-built weapons from Venezuela. One of their generals was caught directly supplying factory-fresh AKs to Mexican cartels. No idea why it's taken so long to address this shit. Welcome back, FAMAS Commando. Looks neat. Wait, is that a Seymour Red Dot or some knockoff of it? Why do rednecks like it so much? Because fuck your mother. Because they often have a 410 and 45, and some other odd rounds that can shoot, and firing it out of a pistol is fun. Because funny. It's fun. Can be used as a snake gun that can also use against things that aren't snakes with different ammo. Also, it's got a big wow factor for normies. Pretty much this. Snakes are a thing in the country. I personally haven't had to yet, but depending where you live, coyotes and bears can be an issue too. Or people. 410 for snakes and small things. 45 long Colt for bigger problems. You can also load a mixture so it's ready to deal with whatever you need to. I personally also like to load it up with 410 at home, essentially having a mini shotgun I can keep on my nightstand. It's a shotgun pistol, because it's both a shotgun and a revolver at once. The two most quintessential redneck firearm types. Load it with 410 birdshot and you got the perfect gun to kill a venomous snake. Load it with 45 long Colt and you got the perfect gun to kill whatever poacher threatened you on your hike. I've only ever seen suburban boomers with this. Rednecks like fun. The last time I saw my Vietnam vet uncle, he was using one for his concealed carry. He makes what seems to be on their face terrible decisions, but he's usually proven right. It's left him quite wealthy and he lives happily. He's never had to shoot it at anyone that I know of, but has popped a few rattlesnakes. Loaded with 45 long Colt, even FMJs will put a fella down, much like 45 ACP. I don't know how well 410 fares. Fuck your mother. Ian did pretty poorly in his bug match load with 410 double-op buck for whatever that's worth. IIRC, he couldn't even get on paper with the 410 at all. Have you shot one? They're fun as fuck. Now the real question is, why do boomer rednecks think it's a good self-defense weapon? Be me, 13 years old, over at friend's house, talking guns with his boomer dad who just got into guns. He brings up the Taurus Judge as the perfect home defense weapon. I load one round with birdshot in case it's actually one of you kids sneaking around so I don't actually kill you. Next shot is double-op buck to knock the bad guy on their ass. Then a slug because dead men tell no tales. Keep one in the chamber unloaded so it doesn't go off in your holster. Be too young and retarded about guns, so say it sounds cool. Other friend's uncle. You can load it with buckshot, then 45, buckshot, then 45 to break the glass in your car windows. Then shoot the bad guy. Keep one chamber unloaded so it doesn't go off in your holster. What the fuck? You can put buckshot pellets in your bullets. You can hip fire. Don't even have to look or aim at what you're trying to kill. The spread stays pretty tight so it goes further than you think. There's still bullets after all. For me it's the governor. 45 Colt, 410, and 45 ACP. Okay, but fuck these guns in particular. Offered to buy one for $100. Fuck it, why not, .jpg. Trigger and hammer slightly rusty. Figure I can take it apart, clean them, and blue them. Get out the little screwdriver set. As it turns out, the cheeky fucks at Taurus decided to include the polymer of the frame as the load-bearing device. A screw is threaded into a nut that embeds into the plastic. But if that nut is free spinning, then you cannot fix the nut in place or get it to bite anything else because it's sunk into the plastic. Fuck it, I'll just enjoy it slightly rusty. My exploratory surgery resulted in me removing a screw holding a trigger spring in place. Cannot replace the screw since spring is no longer tensioned. Gun is bricked since I can't fully disassemble either. Finally say fuck it and use drill press to eat those loose nuts in the frame. Pistol can now come apart. Springs and tiny bullshit everywhere. Clean and blue the rusty bits. Attempt reassembly. 1.4 million tutorials on still frame judges by everyone's uncle on YouTube/forums. 0.0 polymer judge reassembly videos found, except one dog who was gonna record it, but his cat knocked all the pieces onto the floor. End up using exploded diagram of pistol found on manual.pdf to understand what's going where. Struggled for 4 days to get that bitch put back together. Not working at all. Finally take it to a licensed gunsmith. He teases trigger once. Says the timing is off. We'll fix it in a few months. TLDR. Guns are fun. Being a retard is not. And I'll admit openly that I'm the bravest retard thinking, how hard could it be? But this particular firearm is the Dodge journey of handguns and I'll stand by that claim as well. Take gun apart to blue it. It's a clusterfuck. I guess you could say blue yourself. God damn it, Carlos. It's the one-shot stop king with the correct ammo. Because it's fun, but you should definitely get a Smith & Wesson Governor instead. Raging Judge cut for moon clips. 45 ACP, 45 long Colt, 410 shells, 454 Casoul. Maybe someday just for shits and giggles. The concept is cool and the big fuck-off fireballs it can produce are cool. T. Bought one. My uncle got one when they first came out and we shot it in my parents' backyard. I was maybe 10 or 11 at the time and didn't know as much about guns as I do now. But I remember he didn't like it much. It didn't pattern well and it seemed to kick a lot. He traded it for something else. They might have gotten better in 20 plus years, but I don't know. Rednecks. Please stay in California. Revolvers besides Derringers will forever be useful. Simply because their cylinders can chamber all sorts of oddball cartridges that aren't meant for handguns but can be really useful in compact handgun configurations. Shotgun and .45 Colt in one package makes for a powerful statement. My dad carried one because he was getting threats from a powerful family who owns a water company he investigated for fraud, corruption, and stealing public water. Open carried it in a popular bar and some people walked up to him and asked him what he was carrying. People were in shock and awe at the sheer power he had. Rumor and gossip spread around the town. The powerful family heard about it and seemed to stop with all the threats soon after. Lesson I learned is to challenge threats with deadly force and they will back down.
Together, dance cheek to cheek. Heaven, I'm in heaven. The cares that hung